Yeah, Carson, just as you have reflected on the game against Louisville, just what has stood out to you these last few days?
We didn't play well. We didn't execute our plan, and there's a lot that we can be better at. We've had some really good practices this week, really honed in and focused on some of those little mistakes and things that we can fix. And again, we've moved on from last week. We're three practices in and focusing on prep for Stanford. So again, just trying to continue to get better and go 1-0 each week.
We'll go over to Matt Shadell from Kane Sport. Matt.
Yeah, hey Carson. I'm sure you were used to a lot of this outside noise stuff at Georgia. Now that you're at Miami, this is sort of the first time you've had to deal with it here. How do you deal with it? I guess is it something that didn't surprise you because you have seen it before? And just generally, how do you sort of process it?
Yeah, it's not the first time that obviously I've taken a loss or you know, had turnovers or, didn't play up to the standard that I want to play to each and every week. And again, sometimes you get out executed, sometimes you don't execute the plan. And again, there's plays that, you wish you could have back. But again, we come back into the week, you continue to prep the same way you have the whole entire year. I don't think it was ever a prep issue. It was never, something that we were doing throughout the week or something that we didn't do. I think it all ultimately came down to execution. And again, I have to be better, and that's hand up accountability for me. But again, nothing changes. We continue to prep the same way that we have been and continue to do the same things that have ultimately got us to this spot. Just because of, one shortcoming, it doesn't take away everything else that we've done this season. And it doesn't take anything away of what we still can continue to do. So for us, it's just next play mentality, next game mentality, just taking things day by day and trying to go 1-0 every single week, like I just said.
Awesome. We'll go over to Jordan McPherson next. Jordan.
Yeah, hey Carson, two questions. First off, just with Stanford, just what stands out about their defense now that you guys had time to look at them on film?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they play really physical. You look at that D line and their linebackers, they play really physical. They're really hard hitters, man. They have heavy heads and they come downhill at you. So again, I think that their defense will oppose and threaten some challenges towards us. But just like every week, it's going to be about us. It's going to be about the way that we're able to go out there and execute. But again, they're going to challenge us. They're a big physical team, and we're going to have to go out there and match their physicality.
And not to harp on the whole turning the page next steps that's been asked a couple times, right? But how have you seen the team respond since Friday? And just like you said, the importance of making sure that one loss doesn't snowball into two and potentially more. How do you guys make sure you're able to handle what you need to handle?
Again, I think we have a lot of mature players on this team, and again, I think the identity of a team is shown when you're standing in the face of adversity, right? We got knocked down, and how are we going to respond? Well, I don't know that answer yet until Saturday. So again, it's the same thing every single week, regardless of a win or a loss. The week before, we're focused on each week individually. It's 1 week seasons, especially from here on out. So again, the prep that we've had this week, the intensity that we've had at practice, it's what we've had every single week. Nothing changes. We just continue to be who we are. And again, we just have to go out and execute on Saturday.
Our last two questions here from Adam and Andrea. Adam, do you want to go first?
Yeah. Hey, Carson. I have two questions. So I guess last three questions. First one, just you mentioned trying to, improve on the little things after watching film. Just what are some of those little things that you want to improve going into Stanford?
I think just again making good decisions, and I think we've harped on being aggressive and taking shots and things of that sort, and that's still a huge part of what our offense is, but also just doing it in the right moments and understanding when to take a check down, when to maybe check a play or just make a better decision. Obviously, there's so many different decisions that I have to make on each and every play, and again, I'm not ever going to be perfect, but with that being said, that's what I strive to be. I strive to be perfect and I strive for perfection. And, that's what I try to do for this team and these guys. But again, just continuing to go back to the little things, go back to the basics, my feet, my eyes, going through the reads, just studying the playbook, making sure that I know everything and anything and making sure that the wide receivers are on the same page with me. So again, it takes all 11 on offense to be able to execute. And that starts with me and being the quarterback. So again, just going back to the basics, doing what I can do to be the best for this offense and this team.
And then I'm not sure if you saw, you talked about, outside noise a few minutes ago, but there were some people, some like national, pundits on Twitter talking about, your answer about the last interception. Some people were saying that you threw Elijah under the bus. Now, I think anyone who watched the whole clip would have known that's not what you were doing, but when you can edit things to make them look a certain way. Did you talk to Elijah just to make sure that he knew what you were talking about, that you weren't trying to like talk bad about him or anything like that, just to kind of make sure things are, copacetic and everything?
Yeah, I was never throwing him under the bus. And when asked the question, I was asked, what happened on the last play. And I think if you go watch the whole clip of what happened, I mean, you can go look at what I said. But again, I mean, the interception is on me. And again, I'm ultimately the guy with the ball in his hands at the end, right? So I have to take accountability for that. But again, when I think people can take things out of context sometimes, and that's not at all what I was doing. I've never been that type of person. I've never been that type of way, and I've always taken accountability for my mistakes. Again, I didn't play my best. I honestly had a terrible game, and that's a huge part of why we lost. And I have to live with that. I have to take that. But again, it's going to be how I respond and what I'm able to do in the weeks moving forward. But we're not worried about that. We're worried about Stanford right now. So again, everything's good on our end and internally. So just moving on forward as a team and seeing what we can do to continue to execute on Saturdays.
Last question. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah. Hey, Carson, thanks for doing this. You guys have been so good for the bulk of the season of just being balanced on offense. And I'm just curious from your thoughts on just trying to get the run game established a little bit more now against Stanford to get back to the balance that you guys had and maybe what led to not executing as well in the run game as past game.
I think the biggest thing is just understanding that it takes all 11 on offense, right? Just because, the run game isn't working, it's not just because of this person or that person or, everybody wants to, point fingers on the outside, but that's not what we do. It's not what we do here. We watch the film, we look at it, we look at maybe areas where we've been weak, maybe areas where we've been strong. What are good plays? What are good schemes? What are good concepts that, fit our team and fit our 11 as a whole? So again, I think obviously I don't want to give too much information on, how we're going to try to attack Stanford and what we're going to try to do against, their defense and how they align. But, just trying to stick to the basics of what we do well is honestly more important than anything. So again, I think we're going to have a great plan this week, and I think we're going to go out there and execute it. So that's all we can focus on. It's all we can do, continuing to move forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Carson. We'll see you on Saturday.
Thank you, guys.